Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, Jay, yesterday they had the final presser between Demetrius Andrade and David Benavidez. And, of course, they have the co-main, which is Jose Benavidez versus Jamal Charlo. And that got a little bit animated, of course. And, Jose Benavidez was the main driver in regards to that. And so after they had the presser, which was fairly short for a final press conference, but
Yeah.
I don't know who it was that was interviewing. This is the first time I actually heard this, but apparently he has said this in the past, and I guess maybe it just went under the radar. But Jose Benavidez said that he has been in a sparring session with Errol Spence, and during that sparring session, he dropped Errol Spence. Now, I don't know why he originally said this. Maybe it was a part of the lead up to the Terence Crawford fight. I have no idea. I don't know what setting he said this in. He was asked this question as a part of this particular presser, and I don't even know why the interviewer asked him this, because what does it have to do with his actual fight? But nevertheless, he said that he dropped Errol Spence, and he has video of dropping Errol Spence, and maybe one day he will release it. Now, this is interesting for me, Jay, because if true, that means that Errol had been making fun of Terence Crawford opponents. He basically said he hadn't fought anybody, but had been in the ring sparring with Jose Benavidez and actually got dropped by Benavidez. Now, for me, Jay, and people have heard this in the past. A lot of people, like back in the day, people didn't talk about sparring, right? Because sparring really doesn't matter, right? Because I've said in the past on multiple occasions, when someone is sparring, you don't know where they are and at what stage they're in, right? Was this an Errol Spence that was actively training for a fight? Was this an Errol Spence that just decided to spar Jose Benavidez one day? Was Jose training for a fight and Errol wasn't? Was Errol just working on something particular that day, right? If you're working, like, for instance, if you are working, let's say I'm using basketball as an example, right? Back in the day when I played ball, I may be playing one-on-one and I'm actually working on something, right? I'm working on dribbling with my left hand and finishing with my left. So I may be going left a lot, just trying to work on the left hand move, or I'm working on a crossover, or I'm working on my handles and I'm trying to use my handles to get around an opponent or shake an opponent, or I'm just working on finishing at the basket, whatever. Because you're working on something specific, I'm not actually trying to win the game. I'm trying to actually perfect something specific. So that's totally different. I may be trying to capitalize on your weaknesses if I'm actually trying to win. But if I'm just working on something specific, I'm not trying to capitalize on your weaknesses. So I don't believe that sparring tells you anything about what's going to happen with a fight. We heard Errol Spence really gave Floyd Mayweather that work. Does anyone believe that he would beat Floyd? I don't. I never have. We heard about Lamont Peterson. Remember, Lamont Peterson was supposedly giving Floyd that work. And we saw what happened with Lamont Peterson's career. I mean, he had a successful career, but it wasn't on the level of Mayweather's, right? So I don't think anybody would believe that Lamont Peterson would beat Floyd Mayweather, but he gave him that work during sparring. Giving someone work during sparring means absolutely nothing to me, but I can understand how someone would make the case of, hey, he got dropped in sparring. How are you going to make fun of Terence Crawford opponents? You literally, and he specifically mentioned Jose Benavidez as a part of the lead up. You beat a guy or fought a guy with one leg. The guy with one leg dropped you in sparring. So if it was something that, again, I don't know if he hit him with a stomach, body shot. I had a conversation with somebody in the comment section. Jay, shout out to Jay, because he is the impetus for why we did this video. But I got dropped in sparring before. I got dropped, and I actually got dropped by a buddy of mine who actually used to take me to the gym. He's the reason why I started back boxing and training when I was in college. I got dropped because I was off balance. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't hurt. I was literally off balance as I was backing up, and the punch that he hit me with was actually like on my shoulder, and I fell. So it could be a number of reasons why he got dropped. I have no idea. I'm not defending Errol Spence, but I do understand that argument, man. You can't make fun of somebody that, supposedly was weak competition for Terence Crawford, but then dropped you in spar. So I understand that as well. Jay, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's weird that it just came out now. I mean, for one, you dropping Spence has nothing to do with you fighting Jamal Charlo. They're not the same type of fighter. They're not trained by the same trainer. They don't fight alike. nothing alike to me. So that's nothing on that. Now if it's just to get back at Spence jab at you when the whole buildup with Bud and Spence was going on, I get that. You're like 4 months late, but nonetheless, it's out there. So if he dropped them, kudos to him.
Showtime,
But again, like you said, it's sparring.
Paramount.
Sparring is just sparring. It's just
network to look at.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Keep just working on stuff in sparring, so it doesn't matter what happens in sparring for the most part. And so in that case, there with him and Spence, it's a nothing burger to me. You're not gonna get props for dropping Spence and fighting Charlo, and then if you lose to Charlo, did that help you? Even if you beat Charlo, that sparring didn't do anything for you. Now to your point about Spence making fun of Terence getting hurt by a one-leg person that took him to the 12th round, 11th round, and then he got dropped by that same person in sparring. That's funny. That's hilarious to me. I understand if Bud fans would go in on that. They have all right because that's fuel. They have every right because Spence is the one that said mentioned Jose's name, and he also mentioned that the resume wasn't worth anything. Well, he said a 0.5 or something like that. I know he was just joking around when they did that, but still, though, it didn't look good. Terence dominated Spence in the fight, stopped him in the 9th round, and you got dropped by someone that Bud stopped. It's not a good look in that aspect there, but as far as pertaining to this fight with Jose Benavidez Jr. and Jamal Charlo, it's a nothing burger to me. I don't understand why it's just coming up now, though. It makes no sense. It has no bearings on this fight on the 25th.
Yeah, it doesn't. It has really no bearing on this fight on the 25th whatsoever. That's why I said I don't know why the interviewer even asked him the question. I mean, to me, it really didn't make a whole lot of sense. But at the end of the day, if Jose Benavidez did beat or did drop Errol Spence in sparring, again, it's just sparring. I don't know how it actually manifested. Now, regardless, if Errol Spence was, if he came in there and he dropped Errol with a body shot or something like that in sparring, or anything, okay, all right, maybe it's something. If Errol was in the midst of training and he got dropped by Jose Benavidez, okay, maybe that is something to highlight. But outside of that, I mean, I don't know. Again, for me, sparring is sparring. I don't know what the guy was working on, and it could have been anything. So you guys tell us what you think in the comment section.
Though? One thing that's interesting with that is, though, maybe he's trying to set this up for, at the Spence and Bud fight, for him to fight Spence at 160. That's the only thing I can think of. That's the only thing.
You guys, you guys tell us what you think in the comment section. Don't forget that. Well, do you believe Jose Benavidez? Is this just a nothing burger? How do you feel about the fact that Errol Spence made fun of Terence Crawford opponents if indeed he got dropped by Jose Benavidez in sparring? Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast at M Sports Media, and we are